Good morning, 10th graders. Your question for October 27th is, what is the dumbest way you've been injured? All right. Your agenda is pretty straightforward. I'm going to try to do my best at keeping it shorter than yesterday's video. But we do have these writer spotlights this week to help us understand what our assignment was from Friday so we can learn from it as we continue to do writing assignments in the coming weeks, working towards our first summative writing assignment in about 2-3 weeks. We have 2 vocab words today. Yesterday, it was brought to my attention, was the same one from Friday, so we're going to have 2 today to make up for that. Our spotlight, looking at student writing samples. Today, we're going to look at summary statements versus thematic statements. It's really critical. It's the foundation for our first summative. So it's very important that we understand how to make a theme statement versus a statement that's just a summary. We have a video to watch. Media Literacy Crash Course number 5. It's the 3rd of 7 videos you will have a summative assessment on. If you have any questions about your reading guides up to this point, I'm going to answer those through Schoology Messenger. In-person students get to ask me in person. Other than that, you just have another reading assignment and some time to study and finish up your reflection questions for tomorrow's quiz. All right, your 2 words today. Proclivity. It's a noun. It's something you have, you possess. It's a tendency to do or choose something regularly. I have a natural proclivity for Nordic skiing. I just love it, and I do it all the time. Or raucous. Making or constituting a disturbingly harsh and loud noise. What is that raucous sound I hear coming from the gym? All right. Your writing spotlight for the day. Again, we're going to be looking at summary statements versus thematic statements. So let's look at some summary statements. Again, thematic statements are the purpose of a theme is to identify the purpose of an author. It's to perhaps give us a life lesson. It's to give us just some cautionary words about how things what we can learn about life from the actions of the characters, not statements explaining what happened to the characters. So let's look at some statements of summary from student writing. In the short story, The Pedestrian, Ray Bradbury shows the effects technology made on our society. Well, yes, that's what the story did, but are those good effects? Are they bad effects? Say something about these effects. What are these effects the consequence of? So let's take and extract more of a lesson from this statement. Right now, it's just stating a summary of what The Pedestrian is about. Well, yes, it is a story that shows some effects technology might have on society, but be a little more clear on, are those good effects? What should we be cautioned about this story? All right, let's look at another statement of summary. In The Pedestrian, Ray Bradbury illustrates what it's like to live in a world where there are barely any books and magazines. Well, yes, that is what The Pedestrian is about. But give us, again, that cautionary lesson that what would happen if there were a world without books and magazines, or explain a message that Ray Bradbury says about how critical books and magazines and reading and literacy is to our society. So again, this is a statement of summary. Yes, it is a story where there aren't any books and magazines, but what does that story tell us? In a society where there are no books and magazines, why are books and magazines so important? And that would become the theme statement. In The Pedestrian by Ray Bradbury, it shows the effects of a society that's being overtaken by technology. Yes, again, that happened, but what happens in a society which is overtaken by technology? So you got to extract the meaning from the summary. Here's a few thematic statements. Again, we're going to do another writing activity that has us practicing and working with theme. But let's look at some students that did this pretty well. Theme statement. The theme that was chosen for the story, The Pedestrian, is isolation leads to misconception. All right. That's something we can learn about what happens to human beings when they become wholly isolated. All right, let's look at another theme statement. In the story, The Pedestrian, I think the theme is a person may be way different on the inside than how they look on the outside. All right, that's not necessarily a summary of what happens to Leonard. It just tells us that how we can all be different on the inside than how we might appear on the outside. That's good. That's a lesson you extracted from the story. In The Pedestrian by Ray Bradbury, it is shown that justice doesn't always prevail for those who don't fit society's standards. Great thematic statement. Justice doesn't always prevail for those who don't fit society's standards. That's a lesson you took from what happened to Leonard. Good job. It's not a summary of what happened to Leonard. It's a statement and a lesson that we can apply to all of society based on what's happened in this short story. All right, good. Remember, summary statements don't just tell us what happens in the story. Summary statements tell us just what happens in a story, whereas thematic statements tell us lessons that we can apply to all of our lives based on the actions that we've read about in the story. All right, the rest of the lesson is pretty straightforward. You have a third media lit. It's number 5 course. Remember, this is 3 of 7. You'll have a summative assessment based on your understanding of these terms. So make sure you're taking good guided notes. This one is about how media is made and therefore can be influenced by economics and profit. And we should be cautious about that. All right, if you have questions, all of you online students, message me in Schoology. I will answer any questions you have about your study guides. Because tomorrow you have a quiz. That's your opportunity, so speak up. Your reading for tomorrow is to read pages 32 through 48 to the clear line break by Wednesday. This will be on your quiz. All right, 10th grade, see you all soon.